All right. Greetings, everybody who out there. Merry meet and blessed be. So I just want to kind of give an update and explain some more in regards to the rhyme and reason why um, I'm working magic, weather magic, and what have you stuff, uh, and um, and how it's I've changed things up a little bit. Nothing has changed in regards to the West Coast, except for the fact that how it is actually affecting uh, things on a global scale. You've seen Russia, you know. So uh, the low pressures coming up from off the coast of west coast of Mexico, pushing the warm air up through the 11 western states, which is causing a bow of pressure from the high pressure, the cold pressure coming down. So it's taking that jet stream and it's pushing it over into the more along the lines of like the Midwest to all the way across to the east. And then it curls back up and comes up around over into Russia. And that's the thing with weather magic is the side effects on this large of a scale um, is kind of unpredictable. It's predictable, but it's unpredictable. Um, if that makes sense. You can kind of see how things are going to happen. And as I mentioned in my past videos, one having stuff, neighboring states, one having stuff will be affected too as well. It's just the way it works. You can't take weather magic and you just can't pinpoint like a specific, like just the Salt Lake Valley or just a town, so to speak. And then also too as well is there's got to be a seed to grow off. In other words, the atmosphere and everything and stuff, has to be already predicted as having a storm. Usually, when it comes to weather magic and what have you stuff, you could only affect and manipulate what is already in effect. So you can either enhance a storm or you can lessen a storm, rather it be rain, snow, whatever, wind. Um, weather magic and what have you stuff, is kind of unpredictable, so to speak. You can't determine the exact coldness down to degrees. You can just make it, colder or, you know, um, but you can sometimes get pretty close. But it's like our weather stations, or my weather app and what have you stuff is lying, and I don't know the reason why they're doing this, other than trying to psychologically convince people that it's really like January weather. Today's January 25th, 2026, and on my weather app, it was saying that it was 13 degrees outside, which is totally wrong. It's in the low 30s. Okay, um, so 13 degrees is chilling cold. All right. Um, the minute you walk outside, especially with just a light jacket on, you know, that's all I had. And I was able to go out there and smoke a cigarette and not really it wasn't all that bad. So they're lying. And they're just trying to convince people that this is just a normal. This is actually January weather, even though we ain't getting no snow here in Utah or along the west coast here. That the temperature wise, it's a normal January, and it's not. It's extremely warm. It's extremely warm. So, but anyway, I'll be shooting a couple videos on this, and I'll be going into detail in regards to why I'm uh, performing weather magic and the reasoning behind it and everything and stuff. If you've most of my followers have viewed my past videos, and they understand that it's basically has a lot to do with politics, and which kind of yes, and it goes a little beyond that too as well. So I'll get into a little further depth and wine stuff, so you guys understand that I'm not the bad guy. I'm doing this for um, you know the long outcome of humanity and equality. And when I say long, is it's going to take some time. It's not just going to happen overnight. Magic don't work like that. You know what I mean? And it just sometimes it does. It just depends. There's just so many things. I mean, it's magic needs a seed to grow off of, and then it's going to try to work its way into the quickest, most fastest possible outcome that's going to achieve the caster's, you know, uh, cause within his or her conformity of will. So objective magical endeavors. So that's how it works. And but anyway, so I'll see you on the next video and stuff. You know, um, so this will be part one and video, and then we'll go into second video, and I'll explain everything that I'm doing and stuff like that. So blessed be, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, greetings, merry meet again. Blessed be to everybody. So this is video number 2, or part 2 anyway. The rhyme and reasons behind my weather magic endeavors. And so like I said, I'm not going to get into all the politics, and all the rhymes and reasons to that. I'm past that. I've lost patience with that. What I'm saying is, before things got this bad, you people had a chance to do the right thing and make the right decisions, and you know what they are. You know what they are. You know the only way to bridle this government and put them back in their place and what have you stuff is to show them that we are in control. Because without us, they would be nothing. They wouldn't be leaders. They wouldn't be able to, there would be no tyranny. There would be no fascism and stuff like that. In order to be a ruler, you have to have something to rule over. All right. And so what I'm saying is you've had plenty enough time. So it's like, people out there complaining about the price of food, the price of milk, the price of eggs, just complaining. So they're giving a cow, and they're giving some land, or they're giving some seeds, to grow some vegetables and stuff. But the thing about it is all they can do is just complain and bitch about how expensive things are in the store, while they're holding these seeds, and their cows out there in the back in the pasture or in the corral waiting to be milked. And all they can do is just sit there and complain and bitch and moan and groan about how everything's just too expensive in the stores. They don't want to take the initiative to help themselves. Go out and plant those seeds, so they can have a fruitful crop to be able to feed their family. All they want to do is just sit back and complain and harp and bitch and moan, hoping that the government's going to come and pull them out of their ruts, so they can just sit back and just be lazy or whatever, and fix the problems for them. That's what society has become nowadays. So I've had it. Now there's a lot of good people out there want having stuff that's willing to step up to the plate and want having stuff, and put their actions where their mouth is. But it takes more than just a handful of people. It takes us all, you know. So the thing about it is so people step up, they start growing their crops, you know, and they're not buying food they're making their own bread, etc. They're not buying food from the store anymore. They're doing this, they're doing all that themselves. But now the store owners, they're like, these corporates are like, well, fuck, we're going to start upping the price and what have you stuff because we got losses and all this stuff, we got to keep up our quota and stuff like that. Our profits. So they start up in the price and what have you stuff on the tools and stuff that people need to grow, to plow the fields, to grow the crops, to cook the meals, etc. Then one of the residents, what have you stuff at the small little village or town, whatever, says, hey, well, I'm a blacksmith. I know how to do all that stuff. I know how to make molds and stuff, and and make pots and pans and different things, skillets and wrenches and all this stuff. I can do that. You know what I mean? He has no, this is bullshit. Raising the prices and what having stuff up just so they can keep their pockets filled, to their quota, screw everybody else. So he ends up, making himself a nice little, mill and stuff, and smithy, and he goes to work, and he's gratefully selling his tools and stuff that he makes and stuff, to the people who are helping themselves, and eventually the store guy goes out of business because his greed and what have you stuff is a result of that. That's what happens. That is a functional society. That is a responsible, rational society. But this society, you can't be blaming the government. You got to look at yourself. You got to blame yourself. You got to blame yourself. You got to look in the mirror and what have you stuff and say, what am I doing? What am I standing up for? Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to come and clear your debts, and nobody's going to, nobody's going to save you. After all this stuff is over, even before all this immigration stuff even took place, I mean, we're talking decades back. It's everybody's been working paycheck to paycheck. Anytime somebody gets a raise, their rent goes up, the price of goods go up. You know what I mean? It's just you're always still living paycheck to paycheck. There is no affordable insurance. There's no, you all say that you have awakened up. You're awake. You can see past the light illusions and stuff. But you just, instead of planting the seeds, you're just sitting there squawking and bitching and out of your neck. It's just, you love the drama. That's all it is. Just a bunch of hypothetical jargon, therapeutic jargon, who can express themselves the best with the most fanciest and technical terms and stuff, to make it sound like they really know what they're talking about. That's what it's come to. It's just who can speak the best and sound more convincing. All the spiritualism, it's great. It's good. It's uplifting. But something, it doesn't change the fact that, the predators are still there and they still are going to consume you. All the spiritual stuff. Look how look at, ask the guy that just got pew-pewed, man, by the special agents and stuff, How did that help him? That's a little too late, ain't it? Yeah, he's in Simmerland, man. Probably enjoying himself a hell of a lot better than what he was doing here. But still, I mean, that's the reason why I've stepped up to the plate, and, started making the pots and pans. Blessed be. Greetings, everybody. Woth here. This is video number 3. And anyway, part 3. Anyhow, so let's get into the process of this stuff a little bit more. And uh, I know this is really, really frustrating for a lot of people because there's so many wannabe magic users out there and stuff that's claiming how powerful they are and that they really know their stuff. And all I can say is action speaks louder than words. You they're very book smart. They're very, very technical in the terms that they use and stuff like that. I try to stay down to where people can understand what I'm talking about. Um, it's taken me a long time to get there because normally I speak up above people's heads, and I apologize for any past videos when I had my first account. Um, I it was hard to tame down my vocabulary and what have you and stuff to where people could kind of understand what I'm talking about. Um, it was it's more difficult than what because it just there's no easy way to explain how magic works, really. And so I do my darndest to try though. But anyway, um, if all of these self-proclaimed witches that are involved in magic and stuff, if they were authentic and if they were as powerful as what they said they were, um, they would be more concentrating on this world around them, in regards to the corruptness that's going on and the dictatorship, the tyranny, and stuff like that, and trying to make this world a better place for everybody rather than just working, um, sympathetic magic, working on people's fears and their sorrows and different things and stuff, just to basically get into their wallet and take their money and promise them no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's so they're just basically con artists. I know I'm going to have a lot of these self-proclaimed witches, man, just tearing me up. That's okay. That's all right. Their magic's not for real. It's all just Hollywood hocus pocus. But on the set, there's not very many of us out there, and who are the real deal. And we know how it works, and we are battling these tyrants, these people who enslave us, who feed off of our misery, doing the minds and the bodies and the spirits, abuse. And we are working, we're doing everything we can and what have you stuff in our power, our real true power, to combat this. And some of the ways that we have to go about it may not be fully understood by the populace. Because in fact, sometimes it may seem counterconducive to the well-being of the populace. But just understand that you can't have night without day, and you can't have day without night. And sometimes you have to use fire to battle fire, and sometimes a lot of people want heavy stuff are going to be affected by that. It's just the way it works. It's not the Hollywood hocus pocus. But just understand that it's all being done in the name of humanity and equality. And it's going to take some time to get there. But it seems like the populace, none of you are willing to do what it takes and wanting stuff to help yourself. There's, again, like I said, you all have the power to take care of this issue, to shut down this grid, to shut down the elites. Um, you know, uh, their sustenance, what sustains them. And showing them who's really got the power. And you won't do it. You know what I mean? You just sit there and complain about, like the metaphor I used before, you complain about the prices in the grocery store and in the stores, but yet you got your packet of seeds and you just too damn lazy to go out and plant them. So you can't help somebody that's not willing to help themselves. But the thing about it is you know, like I said, there's only a few of us, and we're spread out throughout the world. And there's I haven't yet, unfortunately. I'm praying. I have one person that I work with who I've, you know, I've pretty much mentored this person, and he's come a long ways, and he is, you know, he's about the only person that I trust even working with, and he knows his stuff. And uh, unfortunately, we're in a situation to where we can't get together too often to combine our energies and stuff. But when we do, look out. Yeah. Blessed be. Take care.